Young Miami finally addresses dating the nastiest human being to ever live, Diddy. Now, she answers a lot of the questions that people have had regarding her relationship with Diddy. Now, it's been a couple of months since Diddy have gotten exposed, since a lot of things have came out about Diddy's degenerate and delinquent past. And being so closely linked to Diddy has taken a toll on her career. People like academics would take to Twitter and directly blame her and say that she was involved in Diddy's sick activities and that she was helping Diddy recruit victims. It really did her no favor having people as big as academics on Twitter essentially like implicating her in the Diddy scheme, right, of recruiting victims, saying that she also orchestrated free calls with Diddy, right, that she also benefited from Diddy delinquent and degenerate activities. And it's been hurting her because even her own label has shelved her music.
Not able to release music right now is because it's like when I try to turn my music in, it's just like we don't see no growth in your music, or you're not elevating it. Like the fans that y'all had 6 years ago, they grown now.
That has to hurt because Young Miami has to look deep down inside and look up and realize that her former group mate of the City Girls, JT, she is dropping music. She's been allowed to drop music. She's experiencing success. She's on Billboard. She just dropped an album that also charted. So her label is essentially pushing her group mate while the City Girls as a brand and as a group is being put on the back burner. A Young Miami individual career is taking a back seat. And it's all because she decided to make Diddy her entire brand and just stop dropping music and avoid working hard for so long. Like she has a podcast that she dropped episodes probably once a year. But today, in an attempt to win over the last couple of fans that she has left and to let the world know that she's not in cahoots with Diddy and that she's not a bad person that they need to stay away from, she decided she was going to drop an interview where essentially Saucy Santana was going to interview her on her podcast. Now, Young Miami started off the podcast speaking about Diddy, and she would say, that the Diddy that the world knew, she didn't know that Diddy, and she had no clue that Diddy was the sick individual that he was, and she shouldn't be held accountable for it.
So with Diddy, what was your experience with dating him? Because I feel like in the headlines, it's a lot of just chaos and it's a lot of allegations. And so I think that's what makes people feel like, well, since you were so heavily involved, you were a part of these things or you were around these things. So what was your experience like, dating him?
Well, I met Diddy at P Party, and I met him when he was in a love era. And I met Diddy when the world was celebrating him and giving him his flowers while he was alive. Like he was getting the Global Icon Award, the Lifetime Achievement Award, the Key to the City. He had a new album that was coming out. So I was celebrating him with the world. And I just feel like everybody trying to crucify me for it. Like, you was his biggest advocate. You was his cheerleader, but I was just celebrating when the world was celebrating him. So why am I being crucified or why am I being separated?
Yeah.
When I was dating him, it was love, love, love. The frequency is how we used to laugh. Because that's like him saying it's always, "What's up, queen?"
Yes.
So I just felt like I met him like in a whole new era, and that wasn't my experience.
I call BS on this because the Diddy transgressions isn't a new story. It's not something that just popped out the blue in 2024 and oh my God, Diddy has been a monster for decades and nobody knew. Everybody knew. Even people like myself who was not in the industry knew and heard these stories about Diddy that were horrible. So somebody like Young Miami, who been in the industry now for probably almost a decade, since about 2015, she knew these stories and she heard these stories, but she chose to ignore the red flags and dated Diddy for monetary gains. So she ignored the red flags. Like literally, Diddy's ex-girlfriend in 2019 went on Tasha K and gave a tell-all on how Diddy abused her.
Caught me texting another man. We was in Miami. It got really crazy that time. We was upstairs and he had like, we were in his closet and he like pushed me and I fell to the ground and then he like stood over me. So I was like laying on my back and he stood over me and he started like punching me like this. Like he avoided my face, but he like started punching me like on the side of my head and I was just like covering my face. And then after he got done doing that, he like stomped on my stomach like really hard, and I like took the wind out of my breath. I couldn't breathe, and he kept hitting me, and I was like pleading to him, like, can you stop? I can't breathe. And he like stopped for a little bit. He like grabbed my hair from the back and like was like punching the back of my head, because he was just avoiding my face when he was like hitting me.
The digital footprints don't lie, people. The digital footprints show that Young Miami is lying about acting oblivious and not knowing of Diddy's accusations before everything began to come out this year. You see, Gina went on Tasha K in 2019 to expose Diddy for being a monster. Young Miami not only knew about the interview and the accusations, Young Miami would even clown and laugh at Gina for trying to expose Diddy in 2019. She would take to Twitter and laugh at Gina going on Tasha K to expose Diddy. So Young Miami knew about the potential victims that Diddy had and the slew of accusations against Diddy, but she chose to turn a blind eye and actually victim blame. Here's Young Miami on Twitter going off on Gina and making fun and laughing at her for being abused, right? So she calls Gina, a clown, a hoe, a eater. And she also says that if she wanted Gina to come and eat her vagina, Diddy can make it happen for her today. And she would also laugh at Gina and say, yo, you the same B that was crying on Tasha K because you wanted a baby. Poor Sushi. So she's laughing at Gina for having a forced abortion at the hands of Diddy abuse. Diddy abusing Gina, sitting on her stomach and doing cruel things to her is why she lost her baby. So she knew about this and she's clowning Gina for going through the abuse. So this forced naiveness and acting clueless why people are attacking you, for standing by Diddy is because you did things like this. You undermined victims in favor of Diddy and stood by him. And now that it came out that Diddy is an absolute monster, and now you're acting shocked and clueless and naive as to why people is going after you. Now, luckily for Young Miami, she would reveal that she never went through abuse at the hands of Diddy and that he was a totally different person when they were dating.
So a lot of the things that people really like say about him, you didn't experience that as in dating. That's not something that you saw. So is that the reason why you never said anything? Is that the reason why when all of these allegations and lawsuits came apart, like why didn't you speak?
Because I can't speak on something that wasn't my experience. And I can't speak on something that I don't know. I can't speak on these allegations because I wasn't around at the time. I don't know that person and that wasn't my experience.
So with you being, I feel like, a survivor of domestic violence, he never hit you in a relationship. He was never violent. Was that something that you had to tolerate, or that wasn't a part of, because I feel like that's the biggest thing to him right now is, what he going through in these lawsuits and, that video that came out. And it's like, I feel like a lot of people are wondering, was that your experience? And I know personally that you've been through domestic violence before, and I don't think that's something that you've grown from and that you don't tolerate.
I've been through domestic violence in 2 relationships. And I told myself after the second relationship, I would never put myself in that situation again, especially now being that I'm a mom. I was a mother then, but like having a daughter, like I would never put myself in that position. I don't stand for domestic violence. I'm just not going for that.
But you do take it lightly because when Gina was giving her account of being abused by Diddy, like you undermined it, you laughed at it, you clowned her for it. So now you're saying you don't take it lightly, but, that's hard to believe because you took it lightly, when it was Gina. Honestly, man, I feel like Young Miami can rebound from this, bro. But we can't, listen, man, it's hard to hold people accountable for things that other do that's close to them, right? So obviously Young Miami, unless there's proof and evidence, bro, that Young Miami were recruiting women for Diddy, that Young Miami was participating in free calls forcibly, right? If Young Miami was somehow involved in the abuse of other victims, then yeah, she's out of here. She's a done deal, bro. But I truly don't feel like Young Miami, is beyond reproach or, she's beyond redemption. Because honestly, is Diddy's transgressions not hers? It's just funny to see her stick up for Diddy and support him for all this time. And now, when it looks like her career is taking a big hit, now she want to speak out against him. I don't know, man. Y'all let me know in the comment section. What do you guys think about this? And if you're still watching, click on this video right here to find out about Mr. Beast's pathetic response to getting exposed. I'm going to see you guys in this video. Out of here, folks. Peace.